everybody and welcome to this week's video. We are finally picking back up on Rebel's journey. We are now on part 2. It is going to have to be a 3-parter because I have so much footage and I don't want to miss any parts of this journey because it is a roller coaster. There are so many ups and downs and it would be wrong of me to skate over some of the slightly more negative patches. I want to go into detail or at least explain what we were struggling with and how we overcame it and that kind of thing, because that's what makes a horse's journey interesting, in my opinion. It's never just plain sailing. So yeah, it's going to be a 3-parter, but this second part is basically his first full season of eventing and how that went, the good bits and the bad bits. So yeah, let's dive in and see how he goes. Obviously we left off last time with him having just completed his first taste of eventing at Astley Walls, doing their training event in the 80. So yeah, we are starting off with winter training in prep for his first full season, which we obviously were so excited about. And yeah, have a watch and see how we got on. So we are now into winter training. This is November 2022. So I didn't want to give him his holiday, his little sort of baby break just yet. So we cracked on while he was going so well and building so much confidence, because we took it so slowly through his, this whole year. We wanted to maximise, maximise is that the word? What is the word? Whee, so bouncy. We wanted to make the most, basically, of the fact that he was doing so well and building so much and learning so much. So we kept going until around Christmas, and then he had a little break through December, and then we picked back up in January. But here he is pinging around. This is the 80 arena event. It was a full event, actually, because we did the dressage first, as you saw a little clip of. And then came into the show jumping. Now, the show jumping wise, they're too small for him now. He's not really respecting them because they're little piddly things. And even though he is in a nice rhythm and, the occasional spooky one gets the exuberant jump, in general, they're just a little bit small. And yeah, we don't really have something to ride to. So the balance isn't really quite where we want it. So yes, we do have a few poles down, but we're just, again, it's all about him learning and figuring out what to do and seeing more stuff. It's just getting him to see more stuff. I'd rather they were too small and he felt super confident at the end of this round than be going in to do anything too big. He's so bouncy. And we headed out onto the cross country. Now obviously he's still super green with all of this kind of stuff. He's still a proper baby, and that's why we're keeping it nice and little, to really encourage him to take his time, to understand he's spooking at things already, and just, letting him just get to grips with it all, because really he hasn't done a whole lot of cross-country up to this point, especially in an arena, and it was very different for him, and he definitely didn't understand arena cross-country as much as he understood grass cross-country, which is just one of those things that, you learn about each horse as you go. But this is going to have given him so much confidence and just allowed him to see stuff, allowed him to pop stuff and not worry about it, not get his knickers in a twist, just, figure it out. Whee! I'm just coming in nice and steadily. I'm letting him figure things out. Really pleased with him off this step, but then he did have a good look at this just because we couldn't quite get straight and show him where he was going. So that's fine. It's baby stuff. It's not the end of the world if he doesn't quite get it right first time. You just take your time to represent, and because he jumped so boldly off the step, that was why he put himself in trouble here. And yeah, we just keep pootling around in this little canter, letting him see stuff, letting him observe and absorb everything. And yeah, these kinds of things throughout the winter really build their confidence. And I think you can see why we wanted to keep going, because he was learning so much. I think if he'd had his break before now, there was still more for him to process. So it was really good for him to keep getting out and keep building confidence. And as you can see now, by the end of the round, he's really starting to understand things, and he's just figuring it out as he goes and doing a really, really good job, bless him.
Clear through the church windows. clear through the owl hole. Now coming across the arena towards the Voltaire V, which is clear. And clear through the water. Clear out over the shield. Pops down the drop. Good jump there over the corner. And clear over the NHS cord part to finish. Well done, Lauren.
So you can see how chuffed I was with him from that. And the winter training continued. This is now, we're in January, and yeah, just taking him out again after he'd had his little break, and he didn't have a ton of time off. And I don't think we actually gave him time off. I think he just he just had an easier period of time, just pootling around, because we didn't, he, like I said, we never pushed him, we never overdid it, and I think his brain type, he needed to be doing. He wasn't the kind of horse you could really just drop and then pick back up again. So here we are at one of our local training venues, just practicing riding rounds and letting him see fences and working on our rhythm, because that seemed to be where we were losing our balance, and having poles down was where we lost a bit of impulsion through the rhythm, or again just change the rhythm. But he's really starting to come on with his course jumping, especially considering how little he's done. And yeah, he loves it, and it's just about building these positive experiences in these outings. So we're back out with some more arena eventing, a different venue. Again, just the whole point of winter training and using events like this is just getting them out to as many different places to see as much as they possibly can, especially at this age where he's really starting to learn things. It's all about new experiences. You could quite happily go to the same venue again and again, or the same training, places, but they need to see more to really build that confidence in going to new places and new venues. Obviously much bigger arena here compared to where we were before, and this I think allowed me to really get him into a good rhythm rather than constantly be having to adjust the rhythm because we were turning all the time, like in that small indoor arena. I'm pretty sure we're doing the 8T again here. I can't quite remember. It is a long time ago now. But yeah, I was really, really pleased. He's looking for the fences. He's moving on, but he's not rushing. He's just taking his time. We're establishing a good rhythm. And occasionally, again, they're still probably a little bit little for him. But like I said, we're not worried about poles down at this stage. We're not worried about how big the fences are. We're just trying to build confidence in his round and course ability, and just helping him to just see more stuff. And we're not about winning. We're not about fantastic results. It's all about how he feels and how his confidence grew. And I think you'll agree it looks like a much more confident round compared to the previous one. So here we go. Bing. Yeah, I think we're definitely doing the 80 because the one on the right of that will be the 90, I think. But yeah, again with the cross-country stuff, he started way more boldly than he did before. He's not really looking at anything. He's just kind of in his nice rhythm, jumping out of his rhythm with his lovely scope that he's got. And yeah, I was really, really pleased with him this day, from what I remember anyway. It was a long time ago now. So he's had to go down the back and do a little splash through some water, which he was really, really good with. We have a ditch. No, that's not a ditch. That's 3 steps up there, which he was really good with. I don't think we actually had a ditch in this one, which was good. So we have a little nap here. He says, I don't really want to go down those big steps now. So we got 20 for that, obviously, but that is all about why we're doing this. It's all about him learning and understanding that, you know, even though he may not want to go down and do that, he really has to, and he doesn't have a choice. It isn't a question of what he wants to do, it's a question of what I'm asking him to do, and it's totally fine, and I'm not going to ask him to do anything he can't do. And yes, I was really, really pleased with him, in spite of having the little wobble at the top of the steps, because he had been so much more confident in general around this entire course. And like I said, we're not here for placings. So now we are back at Valeview for another round of, I think this is arena eventing again. Yeah, I'm wearing my body protector again. Pretty sure we are doing the 80 again here. It doesn't look particularly big. And again, I think I was really pleased again with how much our rhythm had improved from the time before when we were here. It's still definitely more difficult in this tight arena to really get him in the rhythm, because you are constantly turning and it's constantly killing your speed. But I was pretty sure, or pretty pleased with the fact that we managed to definitely maintain a more forward rhythm throughout this entire round compared to the previous one. And that's what, like I say, all these winter outings are just about building confidence. And I think it's really nice actually to put all these videos together and really see the progression that he made. Again, we made a bit of a mistake before that one because we didn't quite get our rhythm back. And when when they're young and gangly and learning like this, that's going to happen, and it's not the end of the world, you know. It's just one of those things. Mistakes are going to be made, and they need to learn from them, and we need to learn from them. And that's all part and parcel of bringing on a baby. It's never going to be just plain sailing. And then we headed out onto the cross country again, still just doing the little fences, just building his confidence. The water was not in this course because, as you can see, it's frozen solid. The joys of winter competing. This day actually, I think, is the day that I took Barry around we did the meter course. In the snow, it was full on blizzarding this day, from what I remember, in an hour's time after Rebels class had finished. But I think you'll agree he's definitely looking way more confident. He's moving to the fences. He's not really over jumping them quite as much. We're still a spooky bugger, as you can see here. We have a big old spook around here. Oh, I thought that was quite a scary one. I think it was actually some snow on the floor, possibly, that was spooking him. But it's just, way more relaxed in general, which was fantastic to feel. Now again, this cross-country round was not completely plain sailing, but was much more pleased with how he did the ditch and then came back to me before the fence after, unlike the time before when we'd been to this venue and he'd jumped down the ditch and then completely just not locked on or focused on the fence after. But this round was the first time, well, not the first time, but one of the early times where we discovered his dislike for ditches, which comes up towards the end of this course. And especially the ditch that they have at this particular venue. We actually go back with Simon, our lovely trainer, Simon Grieve, and work through this ditch throughout our winter training, and really just got his confidence with it, because there was something about, and he has this issue, or had this issue, not anymore thankfully, but was just ditches in arenas were just totally terrifying. Ditches in general have always been an issue for Rebs. They're never something that he's found particularly easy to understand, but ones in arenas always seem to be way worse. I don't really know why, but it's almost like he just doesn't expect them to be there. And you'll see here, we're trundling down towards the ditch now. He's jumped super confidently around the whole rest of the course, and he just comes up to it and just goes like, whoa, what the fuck? That's really scary, Mum, I can't do that. And then once he decided it was something that was not something he wanted to do, that he just had a full-on tantrum and meltdown. It took us a long time to actually get him over that, and like I said, it took going back with Simon and working through it with him to really nail it and to let him understand it was not going to eat him and it was totally fine and something he could do. And like now we very, very rarely have an issue with a ditch anymore. I mean, now, especially now we're more established, he's at novice now, so it's not something we often have an issue with, but it's never something I will completely forget and just take for granted. So now we are at some winter show jumping, and this, I believe, is one of his very early 90 rounds. We did do the 80 round prior to doing this one. He was very, very good, but again, the fences were not quite big enough, and even this height, even though we have gone up to 90 now, they're still not really big enough for him, which is why we have he meets this one on a lovely stride, and yeah, he's just like, Mum, that's too small. But like I said, time and time again, we're not here to jump big, massive tracks. We're here to build confidence. We're here to practice our round and our course riding and rhythm, and just establishing all of the things that we want to be established in the future. I could ride him totally differently and achieve a clear round, but not be happy with it, because he's not going to have learned what we need him to learn. But yeah, I was really, really pleased with his attitude, and yeah, he's just super, super boy. Whee. For considering he's not jumped this height much before, he doesn't change when the fences go up, and that's why I think he needs bigger fences, because they just give him more to focus on. So as soon as the ground was suitable, we got out onto the grass to do some grass cross-country schooling. We're at Field Farm here, and again, his confidence with the cross-country was just building and building, but he is one that definitely you could never really take fully for granted that it was like, oh, well, he's confident with cross-country now, that's great. Babies aren't like that. It's not black and white. It's not like, well, that's it now, he's confident, we don't need to worry about cross-country anymore. He's still he's still so bouncy, and he's still always learning, can always lose confidence as quickly as they can gain it. So it's so important to keep putting in the good confidence work and building on everything. Here, little trachena, ping, no problem at all. Again, you see like that, no problem with that ditch at all in that trachena, but the ditch in the arena was terrifying. But he's definitely always been a bit better on grass than he has been in arenas. I think he just understands it a little bit more. Are we coming to a bigger trachena here? Yes, I am. Whee! And again, not bothered at all. And I really rode that probably a bit too defensively in prep for him maybe having a look. But yeah, he was mega, and we just kept coming out and doing lots of little bits of building his confidence over things and allowing him to see stuff and learn. And it's all about getting the experience and building the confidence, like I'll keep saying. So we are now officially at Rebel's first event. Now this whole event is vlogged, so you can go back and watch the whole day and watch his whole test, his whole show jumping round. But I thought I'd pop a few clips in here. And yeah, I was really, really pleased with him. His attitude was fantastic. We did have a couple of little nappy tantrum moments on the cross country. Actually only the one right at the beginning. But yeah, head back and watch that video to get the full lowdown of how the entire day went. But he was really, really good, and all of the work we'd put in over the winter definitely paid off. He felt super confident, and again, it was a total learning day for him. He'd never done anything quite like this before. Obviously the training event was great, but it was very low-key and not at all atmospheric like this, and we were a bit bouncy in the warm-up. Again, go and watch the vlog if you want to learn exactly how bouncy in the warm-up. But yeah, this was off Church Bury, and I was super pleased with him. We went straight out at 90 as well, which I remember regretting as we walked the course because it did look huge. But he had been schooling so brilliantly and jumping so well. I thought, why not just head straight out at 90 now? He'd done all of the winter training at 80 and then moving up to 90. So we kept positive. The ditch here I was so thrilled with because look at how much he just went for me. Oh, it's so good. So the training continues. Obviously, it's not all plain sailing, so we're back doing some more arena cross-country work. He's still over jumping, being very pingy. But you'll see here that the exuberance continues. And yes, he did indeed have me off this day. But he got better and more established and less bouncy. And yeah, really, he's definitely teaching me how to stay on. Which was put to the test here, and I have to say, we failed. So this is his second ever event. We are at Norton Disney. Again, this whole event is vlogged, so go back and watch that for the whole experience. But yeah, the dressage, I remember him being very bouncy in the warm-up. I was really, really pleased with the show jumping round. He jumped a fantastic clear. And yeah, the cross-country did not quite go to plan. Which was a real shame because I was so brimful of confidence with him after off church. And he started off so well. All the clips that I've included in this video are the positive ones. And if you want to watch and hear my debrief of exactly how it went and what exactly went wrong, you'll have to head over to the Norton Disney vlog, Rebel's first BE. This was a great one to have on his record to start with. But he started off really confidently, really relaxed, and did some really good work. And he just got a bit away from me after the next clip that you'll see. He just got a bit away from me, and you see here, he's just a bit too onwards. I mean, he's being super confident and bold and jumping fantastically. But yeah, it did not end well. This was as far as we got. So yeah, head to that vlog to get the full lowdown on that full event. But again, a stumbling block in our education and our journey. But that's baby horses for you. That's how it goes. So we're back onto the training, and we are at an unaffiliated show jumping competition. We've moved outdoors now here at Valeview, which is where we did a lot of stuff over winter. And it's just still working on control, on rhythm. You'll see how much stronger does he look compared to those early show jumping videos. Oh my goodness, I'm so pleased I put this video together. He's so much keener, and again, yes, we're still having issues where the rhythm gets lost, so he got a bit too keen in between those two related distances, and in that related distance I should say, and where he runs himself into the bottom, he all occasionally found himself in trouble. Because he doesn't have the best sort of back off instinct. He just wants to keep going, which is admirable, but we need to learn to have a little bit more balance and control. But in general, so much better, and his strength is improving video by video. Watching these, you can just see him totally change shape and be way more just stronger. He just looks stronger. He's with the strength obviously comes a bit of sass, which is what we're dealing with a little bit here. Because again, yeah, he runs himself into the bottom by wanting to just take it on way too much. But this is a problem that we deal with throughout most of his life now. He's learning how much fun show jumping is. So we are also getting back out onto the cross-country field. This is a day we were having a lesson with Simon, and just to try and beat the demons that caught us out at Norton Disney before we attempted an event again, I've put some spurs on just because I think sometimes he just catches me out a little bit when he decides that there's something scary or something he doesn't want to do, and I needed to be able to react quicker. And have a slightly stronger aid to say yes, there is something you want to do. And again, just look how much more confident he is. It's just night and day, the difference between some of the early clips, and this is only in a few months difference. So we headed back out to Elan Lodge. Again, this event is also vlogged. I did quite a few videos of his early events, and then and then I kind of got just stopped for a while, which is why I wanted to put these videos together, so I got all of the footage of him in sort of one place. And yeah, this day he was so much better. And again, I think we still have a wobble pole where we just lose a bit of balance. I think it's this one, we come around this corner and just lose a little bit of connection and clonk this one out. Yeah, you see us lose a bit of balance there, and then yeah, we get too close to that one. But again, like I say, these early events are not about getting placings, they're not about winning rosettes, they're about building confidence, and I was really, really chuffed with how we did. We're doing a 90 again here. This is Eland Lodge. I think we had also been here cross-country schooling, which I don't have any video of, but I'm pretty sure we had been and ridden around some of the fences. I think this was actually also an unaffiliated, from what I remember. Potentially, possibly, can't quite remember. It was a long time ago now, like I said, but he was much, much better. His confidence had just grown massively, and we even had big scary stuff like this broken bridge in the 90, which I was so pleased with him. So we moved on now to Shelford. This is Shelford Manor, sadly no more as an event, which is a real shame. It's only 20 minutes down the road for us. And again, this one is also vlogged, so that's why I've not put too many clips in from Eland or this one, because they both have a full YouTube video to themselves. So yeah, he was a very, very good boy. The dressage was not so good. He was very spooky. It was not an ideal arena, and again, I explain all that in the other video if you want to go and watch that. The show jumping round I was chuffed with, and then he went super green on me again in the cross country, like super, super green. Yeah, it was like he built loads of confidence at Eland, and then he came here and it was just, the course just didn't suit him. It was very twisty turny, and he, like you see there, he'd almost stopped at that fence in the hedge line, and we'd had that all the way around. This is the last sort of part of the course we're at now, and he's definitely better now than he was in the early part of the course, but it was like every fence I was having to work so hard to make him feel like he could even do it, because he just kept slamming on the brakes, a bit like into the water there. And I'm pleased we finished, and he built a lot of confidence, you know, throughout the course. But head back over to that vlog to have the full lowdown. But yeah, it was hard work this day, real hard work, and I was a bit like, oh, I thought we'd nailed this again with all the training, but back to more training. So here we are, doing more training, back to Field Farm to really solidify his cross-country confidence and just, yeah, keep getting out, seeing solid fences, realising that they're not going to eat him and he's totally capable of doing them. And it was the case with him, is just getting him out, letting him see stuff and building that confidence. Now we are back to the show jumping, and this, I believe, is his first ever meter show jumping round. Now, as you heard me say the whole way through these videos, they've been too small. He needed bigger fences to feel like he could jump, you know, respect them and give him something to jump. And this is a very tight arena. Probably not what I would have chosen for his first 100 round, but and he was so strong and so keen that I was having trouble manoeuvring him. And again, you saw us on that corner with that turquoise fence that we lost balance and rhythm and ended up right underneath it. But his confidence level in the show jumping had just skyrocketed, and he just finds it so easy, the show jumping. He's so easy, and I was so thrilled with his just attitude towards this. I was worried he might go in there and go, oh, they're a bit big, Mum, but he was just like, no, let me at him. I want to jump bigger fences. This is so much more fun than the little piddly stuff. And yeah, I was dead chuffed. So he had been doing lots of 100 show jumping rounds. I don't always have videos of them because we would quite often go on our own to things. But this here is the one and only time we attempted a Burley Young event horse qualifier. As you can see, he was very, very bouncy in between the fences. He's really starting to enjoy his show jumping now, and especially this was the biggest round of jumps he'd ever jumped. I didn't realise when I entered it was actually going to be 105. And like I said, he'd not done a whole lot of a meter stuff at this point. But he jumps so much better when the fences are bigger. so much better. I think you'll agree. He actually has a bit of a back off instinct when they're bigger. He respects the fences and starts to think about what he's doing rather than throwing himself over the fences. This round was a bit of a turning point for me in terms of how the feeling he gave me over his fences. I was absolutely chuffed with him. So this is the 5-year-old class for Burley Young Event Horse classes, and yeah, I knew we weren't ever going to be massively competitive because he is still very green for a 5-year-old compared to some of the others in the class, and that's fine. We weren't here, again, like I say, to win rosettes. It was just another interesting experience for him to go and do, and I was just really chuffed with him, really chuffed with him, and the way he jumped was just fantastic, and I was thrilled. Once you've done your round of fences, you then have to go and do a gallop. So he's done a dressage test prior to this that I don't have footage of, and then you come straight out from your dressage test and go into your show jumping round. And then once you finish your show jumping round, you then have to show a gallop. So I'm just changing lead here and then opening him up for his gallop, and they're basically judged on their suitability for eventing, and I can't remember exactly what scores he got, but after they've done the gallop, you'll see here on the right there's someone trotting up. Once he's finished his gallop, he then goes straight in to have his conformation assessed, and they watch him move and basically give him a mark for his conformation and suitability of type and all that kind of stuff. But it was a day that I will always remember because I was absolutely chuffed to bits with how he handled this course and his attitude towards doing something very different. Because, like I said, this was the biggest course of jumps he'd ever seen, and he just he just took it all in his stride and was so good. Had to buy some pictures of him because he just looked $1 million, and yeah, absolutely chuffed to bits with him that day. We now head to Epworth. So I have not vlogged this event because I didn't really know how it was going to go for a start, and I didn't want to put pressure on me or him feeling like I had to video and film this event. I wanted to purely focus on him because the last one he had done was Shelford and it was not our best. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to totally focus on him and really just try and see what we can do and just nail this one and try and build his confidence and improve, because there was a lot of improving needed to be done. This dressage test, I have to say, I was so chuffed with for him. He was the last one of the day. Everybody else had gone. He'd worked in with others and then they'd all left. And for a lot of horses, that would have absolutely blown their minds, the fact that they'd been left on their own. Mr. Rebs was not bothered at all. He was actually a little bit lazy this day, and I remember thinking, I wish I'd got some blooming spurs on. He's bone idle. But I was so pleased with him, and he did everything I asked. He stayed relaxed, he stayed soft. I think you'll agree, he looks absolute picture. I think having been out and done the young event horse thing not that far before this had really sort of set him up and it let him just build his confidence even further and really established his self-belief a little bit more. And this test actually scored as our best score ever. I'm not entirely sure, actually. He got a 23 for this test, and I think you'll agree that was very well deserved. His canter rhythm's lovely. There are bits to work on, like the transitions, but his frame through the trot work, his swing, it's just really perfect. You couldn't change a lot about it. In fact, if you scroll back and watch the first centre line of this test, I got my first ever 10. I got a 10 for that first centre line, and I think you'll agree there isn't a whole lot you would change about it for a 90 test. My proudest achievement is, my first 10 in a dressage setting. I've had 10s for side saddle stuff before, totally different ballpark compared to your eventing or your BD dressage test. It's a lot less harshly marked. But to get a 10 in a BE test, I was thrilled. And for the way he went through this entire test, he was relaxed, he was rhythmic, he was on the aids, he was soft. absolutely over the moon with the score and him. What a good boy. So we moved on to the show jumping, and yeah, he was a bit spooky actually in this round from what I remember. I don't know whether it was the fences or the surface. I don't think he's actually ever jumped on a rubber surface before. Not entirely sure. But obviously he's been jumping way bigger than this, and I remember coming in, walking the course being like, this is tiny. This could be an issue because he could just not respect them at all. But actually, like I said, he was very... he was a bit spooky. Whether that again was because he jumped quite a big up to height round the in the Burley Young Event Horse class, and whether he came into this being like, okay, I needed to overjump then because they were bigger, and now I need to do the same here. I don't know, but we managed to secure a fantastic clear round, even with him being a little bit spooky. But that almost helped us because, like I said, usually at this height, he can be a little bit complacent and not really focus on the fences. So the fact that he was being a bit spooky actually worked in our favour, because even then when he was like, no mum, I really need another stride here, because he was being super spooky, he really made effort to not have a pole down. So we actually headed out onto cross country this day in the lead because of his dressage score and his clear show jumping round, which was a place we'd not actually ever been before, because we've always been working on ironing out issues in every phase, whereas we seem to have pretty much nailed the first two phases today, or on this day. But as you can see, still a little bit backing off on the cross country, so I'm really having to ride him super forward around around the entire course, to be honest. But he definitely started to settle into a rhythm much quicker today, and he's listening and responding to my legs. So the work we've been doing at home and in training had really paid off, and he built a lot of confidence. But we are still having to kick pretty much the whole way round to make sure he stayed in front of the leg and didn't back off anything. But he was absolutely super. In fact, we ended up coming a little bit quick and getting a couple of time faults. But the superstar that he is still managed to clinch the title, and actually we ended up in Horse and Hound because of it, which was so thrilling. So we move on to the next event. We're now at the back end of the season, I think. I don't think we've got many left. We're at Eland Lodge here, and he was definitely not as settled and relaxed, and you can see the tension in his neck. You can see the flies were annoying him. He was getting a little bit head shaky and a little bit against me, and the whole time I just felt like we were trying to minimise any exuberance and potential issues. I can't exactly remember what score we got, but it wasn't fantastic. It wasn't awful, I don't think, but it wasn't fantastic. But this is what happens, you get a 23 one day, you drop right down with a... I can't even remember what we got, to be honest. I want to say it was like 40, but I don't think it was. That seems a bit harsh. I don't think it was that bad. But maybe it was. He was just, against the hand the whole time and running and on the forehand and just tight and tense and just not as relaxed. Anyway, I'm not going to show the entire dressage clip because otherwise this video will be forever long. But yeah, we're back at Eland Lodge here doing the 90 again. This time BE, the time before, like I said, had been unaffiliated. And you can win one day and it can not go right the next, and that's just horses. So we headed into the show jumping, and he was very keen and being very sassy, which is how he'd been in the dressage as well. He was being a bit nappy to his friends in the warm-up, which is to the right of the arena. And yeah, I should have picked up on those little nappy moments earlier on and responded to them and been aware that they might cause us an issue, that he might be a little bit nappy, and have been a bit more prepared. But because he'd not really been nappy for a while, it just wasn't on my agenda to be even something to think about. But anyway, the majority of this round I was fairly pleased with. He was in a much more relaxed rhythm. He didn't rush as much. He was being quite bold. But this is where we have our issue, which isn't something we normally have in the show jumping. But he comes around this corner on the wrong shoulder and then naps back to the collecting ring, and we just end up getting to this fence and him just not being in a place to be able to jump it, which was really frustrating. But that's babies, and you learn. And it wasn't the fence itself that was particularly spooky, he was just napping back to the collecting ring. And where he'd been so nice and quietly relaxed around the first few fences, I'd let that lull me into a false sense of security, and just didn't quite have him connected and forward enough and in front of my leg, but off the inside leg on the turn to the one that we had the run out at, which is really frustrating. But that's babies for you. That's young horses. Even now, at the end of coming towards the end of his final his first event year, we're still having issues that we need to iron out. It's still not plain sailing. It's still not perfect. But that's young horses. But really, really pleased with his cross-country round this day. I remember he was feeling way more confident. You see how much he's actually taking me into the fences today. Whereas even at Epworth, where we had won, he was still, the first few especially, backing off. But here, he's really taking me. That has a big old ditch in the middle of it, so fair enough for him to have a second look at that one. And then we're coming to the Broken Bridge one again. Now, he has obviously been around Eland before, so it was not like it was a completely new course to him, but that's why I wanted to come back again. I wanted to solidify his confidence and really keep building his cross-country course experiences, because it's so important for them to have really confident rounds around cross-country courses. It's not something that you get a whole ton of chances to practice like you do with your show jumping and your dressage. But yeah, despite the 4 faults in the show jumping, which was frustrating because he had actually jumped clear, but we just had the little run out moment. I was really, really pleased with his attitude on the cross-country course today. So we finish up today's video with his last event of the 2023 season. We headed back to Offchurch Bury, which is where we had started it, this time doing the BE 90, I believe. Was it the BE? Maybe it wasn't actually, I can't actually remember. But again, here, look, you see we have a little nap back to the working in again there, which caused us to have fence 2 down, which was frustrating. Obviously as well, if you think back to his 2 clear rounds of this season, both have been on surfaces. We struggle way more with the show jumping on grass, so I actually do a whole ton of work through the following spring when we dry up enough at home to do lots of jumping on grass, because it's totally different for them and the arenas aren't flat. It's learning about balance, especially with the big gangly babies like him. Different if you've got a pony, but with the larger horses, especially the more onwards larger horses like him, trying to figure out their balance when jumping on grass is a big deal. So it's not something you want to rush or take for granted. So yes, we have a couple of poles down this day, which was a shame because it was the last one of the season. I was really hoping to have a really good run, but it just shows us where we still need to work on stuff. And you see how angry he gets when he makes a mistake. He hates making a mistake, and that's when we get the sassy exuberance, because he doesn't like getting it wrong, bless him. But cross-country wise, I was absolutely thrilled to bits with him. He started and finished this course so strongly, and I remember looking back at these videos, and again, apologise that a lot of the videos in this video are the wrong way around, they're portrait. These videos weren't meant for YouTube, I was just having them filmed for my own use. But compared to Shelford earlier in the season, the difference in his way of going and he was just taking me cross country, which at Shelford every fence was a battle and he was backing off, to the difference to him now. Look at him just motoring on, ears pricked, loving the job. Yeah, it was just so nice to finish the season on a happy, confident cross-country horse, because that was the area that we have struggled with most, compared to his show jumping that is in general very strong. Like you saw, he was quite happy jumping around a metre-5 track, show jumping. But the cross country was where we needed to build confidence, and I was thrilled that he felt so confident around this entire course, which was just the cherry on top of a really successful first season. Some real highs, like winning at Off Church, and we recovered from some real lows, like falling off at Norton Disney. But yeah, I couldn't have asked for more from him for his first season. That it's all new, it's all totally new for him, and the fact that we finished it this confident at 90 was fantastic. And this was quite big here. He had to do a corner, so he had to do a big box thing, curving line to a really big corner, and he was just so good. But you've got to put the work in, you know. Every time you feel a wobble or something they're not sure about, you go and work on it, you go and train on it, you give them the experience, you build the confidence so that they can come to a competitive atmosphere like this and feel capable. And I really felt that that's what he felt this day, and I was super thrilled to get stuck into the winter training again and come out ready for the following season to build and build even more confidence and good experiences. And again, it was not plain sailing, so have a watch of the third element, which will be out hopefully not too long, to see how his second season of eventing went. But yeah, so thrilled to have finished on such a strong note.